What is up, hotties? Welcome to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm Blaiden, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Spawnhour and Theo Ash. We've finished our NFL divisional previews, but we still have some more stuff to talk about as we get closer to the NFL season. Today we're talking about the awards: MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Protector of the Year. A lot of fun stuff to chat about here. But before we go any further, I need to ask you guys, do you think fear is contagious?
I don't know.
And I
have no idea, Blaiden,
because we were talking about bugs on the last episode, and I'm really afraid of spiders, and there was a giant spider in my house this weekend. Like, truly gigantic. And my girlfriend, I take a picture of it, she's like, it can't be that big. Like, really, truly, it can't be that bad. And then I'm at a family reunion today, and the spider appears again. And she is, like, freaking out. And so I'm like, did I give her my fear of this spider?
Or maybe, I don't know if that was, like, necessarily fear being contagious, but rather like you just informing her of the threat, and maybe she was fearful of a spider she already would have feared had she seen it on her own without you.
Maybe this is just a spider that any reasonable person would have been afraid of.
Probably. I'd have to see it.
Yeah, I have a picture of it. It's in the chat BCC, and I posted it on Twitter, but like, I don't think the picture does it justice. It is They
never do.
They never do. It is. Well, also, I didn't get very close to it. I'm like standing probably, 15, 20 feet away, zooming way in on my phone. I just thought it was just like a horrific sight. And I'm like, I hope because my mom always said that, like, I can't act afraid of things around like my sister, because then she's going to be afraid of those things. But I don't know, maybe
This article from PBS.
Yeah.
This article from PBS says that feelings are contagious generally. So if you're smiling, someone else is more likely to smile. If you're laughing, someone is more likely to laugh around you. And that human beings mimic what others are doing. So yeah, if you're afraid, others are probably likely to mirror your emotions in some respect. I feel like that could especially be true if nobody quite knows what's going on. Yeah. Like if everybody can see a spider, I think some people have made up their minds on if they're scared of spiders or not.
Yeah.
But if there's a situation in a crowded room and some people start to panic, but you don't quite know why they're panicking, you'll mirror that emotion for sure. You'll be like, why are we scared? I'm scared.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, how are you guys doing? Because that was my like entire.
Everybody better say well. Everybody better say I'm doing well.
I hope you're doing better than. No, it's just like I was gonna clean the kitchen and hang some stuff up in our living room, and then I just decided I'm not going back downstairs because there is the world's biggest spider in my kitchen. And then Sophia ended up doing the same thing today when I was at a family reunion. So. But
what happened? Shoe method.
No, dude, you don't get it. It would have eaten the shoe.
What kind of spiders have you got in Ohio? This is Lord of the Rings type spiders.
Avengers level threat, I must say. I must say it was dangerous.
Yesterday, my sister was in town this week, and I guess that's my big update. Is I was kind of touring the city with her, but. We got some sandwiches and we were eating them out on the balcony, and she didn't notice, but I noticed a wasp fly by her and then just keep moving. And I thought of our conversation last week where you guys were adamant that wasps would attack you for no reason. And I said, yeah, I don't really know if wasps are always doing that. And then I got branded as Team Wasp. But I'm willing to wear Team Wasp because, again, I saw Wasp and I'm like, oh, we'll see what it does here. And she had a chicken teriyaki sandwich with like sweet sauce on it, like perfect stuff for a wasp, and yet it didn't instantly stop what it was doing and sting us nonstop as they've been
Well, that's because
painted.
wasps don't like teriyaki.
Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot that they don't like teriyaki.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it.
Yes, you had the one repellent. No.
My thought on this conversation was that, you know, the reason why me and Blaiden haven't been stung is because we use a tried and true method to avoid such situations, which is to freak the fuck out anytime anything that looks like it could sting you comes near you. Now, you lose a lot of aura from doing this, but it works undeniably. It's incredibly successful. So that was my only additional thought on the whole bug conversation. There's something else that I wanted to talk about, though. Blaiden, you got followed by Laquan Treadwell on Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
This is a very big moment for you. You've been repping Laquan Treadwell for years, and it has finally paid off, although I think it's kind of been paying off in a sense, at least since that Vikings fan sent you over a shot because you were in a Vikings Laquan Treadwell jersey.
You never know how many fans of a specific team there are until you're wearing their jersey out in public.
Especially when you're not in, like, Minnesota, I guess. Yeah, if you're in Vegas, yeah, for sure. In honor of this, I tried to build out Team Stay Hot.
Ooh.
So a team of all the guys that we are, like, not necessarily particularly fond of, but have had, like, relatively big roles in the discourse that we have on the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like the guys that are
the all obsession
that we talk about.
Team.
Yeah, one way or another.
Yeah.
Now, before I get into it, I want to say some positions really easy. Some positions we have like great picks of obscure players that we talk about too much, and there's a funny story behind. Some positions, it's like, this is a guy that I guess we're nice about. So I consider this a rough draft, and I'm open to hearing about anybody.
Okay.
That I've possibly forgotten. In fact, I'm sure that I have.
The comments will let you know, I'm sure.
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so.
Yes.
So at quarterback, this was tough. I think you could go with a lot of different guys because quarterback is just the most discussed position.
Yeah.
Hurts obviously would be a valid pick for you, Blaiden.
Yep.
Dak is somebody we're always repping. I mean, we talk about Jordan Love nonstop. We are high on a lot of the good players, honestly. I feel like we're usually trying to give them a fair shake or whatnot. But I ended up going Justin Herbert as the quarterback for Team Stay Hot.
I think I agree.
For two reasons. Number one is that I feel like we're all pretty high on Herbert compared to consensus. Not that I think having Herbert in your top five is some like brave plant the flag take, but there's a certain section of fans who would really disagree with that. And I think we're all pretty against that. And then also the not his fault thumbnail is one of my all-time favorite Stay Hot moments. So I've got that up there. At running back, I think we basically love all of the good running backs in the NFL, to be real with you. At least two of us do, probably everybody, or a lot of them. So I went Jerome Ford, to be real with you. I know that I'm biased making this team, but
well, could I suggest maybe making it Nick Chubb in honor of his retirement?
No.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if that would be in honor of his retirement rather than he's a Browns player, but Jerome Ford is also a Browns player, or was. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
But of course, with Ford, I just accidentally texted the exact same thing multiple times. I'm like, I forget what it was, but Theo said like, the Panthers are looking really thin at running back, or he was like razzing me. I said, we have Ford, it's all good. And then he responded to that, and I said, we're gonna get Ford, it's all good.
Dude, I forgot about that bit. That was great. Drafting Jerome Ford, it's all good.
We're drafting Ford, it's all good. Wide receiver, easiest pick. ECRA is probably the number one Stay Hot player of all time now, I would say. And then at wide receiver 2, I've got Treadwell. Instead of doing a slot or like picking something, trying to pick what personnel we're in, I just went with a flex. So at tight end, it's McBride because we had him on the show and he's first team All-Pro, so shout out. But I also thought about Pitts and Kraft. And then at flex, I picked Felipe Franks. of course.
Oh, yeah.
The story behind Felipe Franks is that Theo, you must have tweeted something about him, like in the draft process, and you're like, oh, he's got like some good tools, or oh, he's kind of interesting, or whatever. And I responded, and I said, I literally texted you about Felipe Franks weeks ago, and you said nothing. And Theo was like, what are you talking about? So then we go back and look in the chat, and I had just texted Theo the name Felipe Franks and nothing else.
I said that the Browns should cut Baker and draft Felipe Franks.
Draft Felipe Franks.
And that would have panned out probably about the same as paying Deshaun Watson $230 million. So
Yeah, you wouldn't have a big Baker contract, and you'd have a good special teamer. It would have been.
It's awesome that he's become a special teamer and he played for the Panthers. You know, it's like it's great. So the offensive line is a little dicey, to be real with you.
Ooh.
At tackle I went Trevor Penning, who we really did not like, and Theo, you particularly made a big video about that, I remember. At the other tackle spot, I mean, outside of just going with somebody who like plays on one of our teams or something, I was like, I guess we're usually pretty kind about Wirfs, but he's one of the best players in the NFL, so it's really easy to be. So I don't know if we get many bonus points for that, but I said we're usually positive about Wirfs. At guard, I went Quinn Miners. That was one of your guys, Theo, a little bit earlier than he was actually first team All-Pro. And then Robert Hunt, I feel like we typically have a lot of good stuff to say about, in large part because he plays for the Panthers, to be honest. But he's also like, you know, we give Robert Hunt a good amount of respect on here.
Yes.
And then at center, I said, screw it, we'll just go Connor Lowe. With the way that Blaiden feels about Connor Lowe.
He's the
all right,
GOAT,
sure.
man. Trust.
So then we get to the defense, and figuring out what we're gonna. I have 5 defensive linemen, or like 3 interior defensive linemen, 2 edge, 2 linebackers. I couldn't even figure out a second corner, and then 2 safeties. So give me some grace on the positions. But
Yes.
Jerry Tillery, of course, who
Naturally.
Theo, you greatly disliked when the Chargers were struggling with their run defense when they had Staley. I feel like I'm always saying something positive about Calais Campbell. I feel like we're always hyping him up, and he's just stuck around forever. I did put Derek Brown on here because I know you're really high on him, Theo, and he's a Panthers great, and he's made some great plays, but that's another one where it's just my team. At the 2 edge spots, I said, hold on, we have the 2 best edge players, basically, and well, Garrett was a Browns player, and Parsons now is a Packers player, so I said, we'll take that, because the way that some of the rest of the team is shaped up, we probably need to be strong somewhere.
I mean, we deserve to have an ECRA, a Garrett, and a Parsons, I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm. At linebacker, I went Ivan Pace, because
yes,
that was one of my guys pre-draft, and he ended up getting a role pretty quickly, undrafted, and then Nakobe Dean, of course, because we had him on.
Yes.
I think now I'm looking at I'm like, corner, did I do sauce? I'm like, I might have done too many of my favorite players, bro. But I did. And then at safety, I said, there's no way that Blaiden Kirk doesn't dominate this position group. So it's Kyle Hamilton, of course, and then Jesse Bates. But you could also go like any of the Cincinnati safeties that you have hyped up. Yeah, Jordan Battle and Geno Stone really came to mind.
You could pick so many safeties for me, honestly. Put Hamilton at corner, and then
There you go.
Hamilton. Hamilton. Well, you don't have a second corner, so that's
no, I don't.
So I'm trying to think about who the second corner would be.
We just might not have a full team of guys that really, really fit. Like, you know, that you've either like been on the podcast or we have something funny about.
Preemptively saying Leonard Moore, just because he's a demon right now.
And you're gonna make that happen, so we have a second corner. All right.
Yes,
that works for me.
If that's what I have to do to make it, I will. I have a feeling Leonard Moore is definitely going to be a top 3 player for me in the class. Depending on how he plays this year, he could be number 1.
My guys that I would add maybe is Rashad Penny, J.K. Dobbins.
That's a good one.
J.K. Dobbins is definitely one. Alec Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
We did have him on the pod. We also had Levis on the pod, but he's not.
We haven't talked about him enough since then.
We haven't talked about him a
Stay
ton
hot
since
team.
then. Shout out Will Levis, bless his heart.
We have a lot of pass catchers. That would be our issue, is that if by like going through each position, we're just not as strong at guard as we are at receiver.
And you know, that's okay. That's okay. I'm trying to think about what other offensive linemen we could. Do we put Jonathan Cooper on the team? I know we have like the greatest edges of all time, but like
Cooper probably does make sense. I mean, here's the thing. What I did not say is that I also did special teams, but when you get to kicker, there's only one guy it could possibly be because of the whole Justin Tucker debate. But I'm like, oh,
do you want to put Tucker on the team?
I don't know. And then Ryan Wright, who we had on, who's also really good.
Who's really
so shout out to him.
Yes. Who would the return specialist be? I guess it could be Penny. It could be Penny.
Treadwell.
Well, shout out, man. Laquan Treadwell's the GOAT. It is Hamilton. Kind of been, and Hamilton. We're having Kyle Hamilton and Laquan Treadwell returning kicks and punts for us.
Maybe we could put Franks at just like at gunner and then open up the flex spot and put, Alec Pierce
or that
or
does
Dobbins or something.
Yeah, I think that's good. But there's a slew of guys we could put on there. I do think it would be funny to like make this team in Madden or something, or at least have a graph. We could maybe make a graphic, but I think it'd be funny to make this team in Madden and see how good they'd be.
They probably look a lot like the actual awards? Chargers. They got Herbert and Trevor Penning and Connor Liu. Probably look like the Chargers.
They do look.
I think with Parsons and Garrett, the defense would be
nice.
Would be pretty.
They're the Texans.
A little better than the.
What's our coaching staff looking like? That's the real question.
Oh boy.
Is it just us? Are we the coaches?
I feel like it's
that's an easy cop out. Yeah, probably.
Stefanski and Jim Schwartz.
In terms of like volume of guy, like how much we've talked about guys, it would probably mostly be Browns. It would probably be 60% Cleveland Browns.
Stefanski's a lock. I don't know about the coordinator.
Stefanski's a lock for head coach. I'd be fine to have Schwartz as my DC, you know.
Oh, we know you'd be fine with Stefanski and Jim Schwartz.
I mean, yeah, I could be the coach, or it could be the Browns guys. That'd be fine too. Right.
Yes. But yes, let's talk about these awards. We've got to make our predictions here, and we'll start with MVP, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
I am just going to say that I am assuming that you two are both picking Mahomes to be your MVP pick based on our Chiefs conversation last time.
No. He's a very good pick, though.
Okay. I'm surprised.
I've got him for another award, and he's probably second in my MVP ladder.
For comeback player, yeah. Yeah, he probably will win comeback player of the year. That's a good shout, but I really did think you guys were going to have him as MVP. So who do you have as MVP, Matt?
Well, I'll be honest. I look out over my top 10 quarterbacks, maybe even pushing a little farther than that. And I'm like, dang, I feel like everybody kind of has a good shot, or at least like a path that I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my top three guys like Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. The next level of dudes, like, I don't know, could Burrow have a crazy season where he gets a bunch of yards and they like get hot on like 1-score games and win 14 or something against a nice schedule? Like, I kind of believe it. Drake May almost did last year. Herbert, like getting a big offensive upgrade, already is kind of getting some respect from certain voters. Like it seems like it's possible. The next tier of guys, though, it's like Stafford just won it. Dak, could he be like the passing yard and passing touchdown leader? And this is just the season that they completely go off with like maybe his best supporting cast. I don't know, because their offensive line used to be pretty good, but like certainly his best receiver group. And I think the best receiver group in the NFL, although it's pretty close. Like, yeah. And then even like, could Caleb take a big step on an offense that like really uses him? It's like totally possible. Jordan Love, I think, is talented. What if they do pump up the volume a ton? He's led a super efficient offense before. It's just that it's been a little bit more credit to LaFleur, and it hasn't been high volume. And then, like, do you think the Jaguars passing offense is going to be awesome next year? I kind of think it might. And Lawrence was super hot at the end of last year. So it's not even like he has to get hot. He just...
he needs to stay hot.
Yo,
I think you're touching on most of them. I wrote down a tier 1, a tier 2, and a tier 3 in terms of MVP quarterbacks, like candidates. My tier 1 is Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford. Tier 2, Caleb, Jordan Love, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. Tier 3, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud. That's what I wrote down.
And I would even throw in, like, Brock Purdy absolutely could lead a very high-powered offense. Now, the issue, and I want to make it clear, like, this is a narrative award, right? So it really does depend on, like, what the public perception of these players is, and that's going to, you know, it's going to affect whether or not they can win the award. So with Purdy, it's going to be tough for him to be, like, given the credit, even if it's good because of Shanahan. Or with Goff, I feel like the mind is made up for a lot of people that he's not necessarily the driving force in Detroit, which I don't necessarily disagree with, even if he is a good player. Or like Hurts would be another guy like that. But I agree, they're definitely with, like, in striking range to get in that conversation if everything goes perfect and they're the passing offense that comes out on top.
Right.
Did you try to read the narrative tea leaves? I've got one stat kind of about that I enjoy. Which is...
Go ahead.
I just teased it, so I might as well say it.
Yes.
So the Chiefs' schedule, weeks 12 through 17, is Buffalo, the Rams, the Bengals, the Patriots, the 49ers, and the Chargers. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that is a stacked lineup of games and teams to go through for the Chiefs. And in a time of year when I feel like the MVP gets decided on those big games. So I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, because the odds Mahomes trips up in, like, a big game is high. How many of those are in prime time? We don't know about the Chargers game yet. That's TBD, week 17. New England is Monday Night Football. The Rams is Sunday Night Football. No, Thursday Night Football. And Buffalo is Thanksgiving prime time.
Damn.
So it's a lot of, like, big games against big teams at the end of the year for the Chiefs.
But are they do they have any Sunday night games? Because that Ravens 49ers Sunday night game really is the one that I always think about, that really sealed the deal for Lamar to get that MVP. And, like, it could have gone to Purdy if Purdy had balled out, right? So if there's, like, a big Sunday night game in that window, that's kind of where I would be eyeballing.
I'm sure it's a lot of big Sunday night games in that window, but no one has the volume of big games that Mahomes does, but none of them are on Sunday night, which is the biggest possible stage.
As it stands right now, Mahomes does not get that much grace for not having good receivers. I think there's a real world where the Chiefs' offense is awesome, but the way that it's awesome is that Mahomes keeps the passing offense, like, pretty good, really good, but doesn't have the outside winners to put up great stats or to be, like, straight up number one. And then the run game is really good. So you can sort of simultaneously argue, like, he does have a supporting cast, but he's also not doing this. You see what I'm saying? And maybe it's like Kenneth Walker having a big season. I mean, I really believe in him. My pick is Drake May. I think he's going to win it this year. I think he's in the best position too. And the reason why is because last year you said specifically why Drake May did not win is that, well, his supporting cast wasn't not being bad. It wasn't important enough. That's actually not a big enough factor. It doesn't make up for it. So this year, when he potentially has a greatly upgraded supporting cast, I wonder if you're going to be able to flip the script and say, well, he has AJ Brown. because a big part of this is decoupling like quarterbacks from their surroundings, right?
Yep.
I know Stafford just won, but Stafford led in yards and passing touchdowns and just barely won by the skin of his teeth by like a single ballot, even though the counting stats were heavily in his favor. I think there's a real chance that maybe somebody, maybe the guys like Burrow and Dak and Stafford have a hard time like being that far ahead of everybody in those counting stats, even if they do lead. And if that's the case, I wonder if, a guy like May, who probably will be given like, last year we didn't give him the MVP because his schedule was easy and we didn't care that his supporting cast was weak. This year, if he comes back and can do the same thing where like, okay, I'm going to ball out, but my schedule is more difficult and now I've got these weapons. It's like, what could you say against him? Yeah. You would basically prove you wrong. He's got the opportunity to, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been going back and forth on Drake May and Lamar Jackson like all day in my head, because Lamar, I kind of feel people are really low on right now, just injuries. And, he's got this like always gets sick at the wrong time level of aura to him. And I'm like, dude, he is still maybe the best football player on the planet at times.
Well, last time he was healthy, he was insane in the regular season.
He was ridiculous. And I do wonder if you get healthy Lamar Jackson back out there and they have the best rushing attack in football and he's, hitting his incredible high level passes from any spot on the field, jumping over guys to throw. Does he get back in that conversation? But Matt, I do think I agree with you that Drake May is the guy in the most opportune position to go out and win it when he was so close to winning it last year, right? And I do think that in some level, that to some extent, Stafford winning it was a bit of a legacy award. Like, I don't think it's entirely that, but like in the back of your mind, you're like, this could be his last run. He's not going to have another chance. Drake May, he's going to play for the next 10, 15 years. He's going to get another shot at it if he's actually like that. I do think he's like that. He was the most accurate quarterback in football last year. If he's completing 70% of his passes again, and then he's also having, an upgrade in the supporting cast, better, raw passing numbers, I think he absolutely could win it. So I think I am just going to go with May also because I do love him. But like Caleb's also in there for me. Theo, I might disagree that I would put Caleb Williams in tier 1 instead of tier 2 because I think his offense is pretty loaded and he could have a chance to go crazy. But I worry that his PR might not be quite high enough to win it. That could be the only reason I put him in tier 2.
I think his standing in the league is actually really good. I know that there's some people on Twitter who are frustrated, but if Caleb takes a step into an actual MVP player, which he needs to do, he's not an MVP player the last time that we saw him, even if he is still really, really good, because MVP is a different level. If he were to take a step into the type of guy who could win an MVP, a lot of the negative things that people say about him would then be disproven. So I don't think you would get into a situation where like Caleb is in the MVP race, but there's still like this sort of negative snowball against him outside of the fact that like players get good, they get more haters, they become a bigger threat, that type of stuff. But that's true for everybody. I just look at May and I think he was close last year. I think there's certainly a level of like this guy is due with the voters. I think that he's got a chance to disprove that he was a schedule merchant, and the situation upgrade you really can't ding him for after everything that was said last year. And even then, May has that good balance of like the situation is good, but it's not so good that, you really are going to say, well, you have, Pickens
the
and
offensive
CD.
line is still kind of a problem.
The run game, I don't know how great it's going to be. There's room for improvement. I think it's possible, but it's also possible that they have like a slightly below average run game, and AJ Brown is really good, and they're a little deeper at receiver. I think he's in a good spot, but it's wide open, of course. Who knows who's going to have like a big year out of the, again, 8-10 guys that could win it.
Yeah, we do have Chargers Patriots Week 12 Sunday Night Football. That's a big one.
Week 12 is almost a little early.
You think so?
Yeah, I would agree.
So I'll give you week 14 on. We have Buffalo at Green Bay. That could be giant. Jordan Love and Josh Allen.
Yep.
Detroit at Minnesota is week 15. Maybe less big, but if, the Lions are competing for the 1 seed and the Vikings have the best defense in football, which they
God
could.
Forbid. God forbid. God forbid. It's Goff versus Kyler for the MVP award.
Yeah. Week 16 is Jacksonville at Dallas.
Maybe.
Trevor and Dak. That could be. And then week 17 is Philly at San Francisco.
Maybe. I got both those guys in my tier 3. I think I have it May as well, Matt. Wow. And there's a couple of things that I think go in his favor. Recently, I feel like you've got to be at just the right time in your career to win it. Like, you can't be too early in your career, but you also can't have just one. Voter fatigue is a real thing, but also they want to wait to crown you a little bit. Both of those things are real. So I feel like there might be this sweet spot where you've proven yourself, but you haven't won one yet. And if it is close, you'll get some kind of tie. And I think May is in that category. I think Joe Burrow is in that category. I think Justin Herbert is in that category. I think Dak Prescott is in that category. And it's been a few years since Mahomes has won. I think he might be in that category as well. And then another thing you really need is to be great. You need to be extremely efficient. You need to be elite under pressure. You need to be, I think more and more advanced analytics matter in these award races. Things like, double team rate and pass rush win rate, that chart that always gets tweeted, matters a lot for defensive player of the year. I mean, there were years when TJ Watt stuffed the traditional stat sheet, but just didn't have the pure pressure rate or win rate that Aaron Donald had, and it went to him. I think quarterback is the same way. If you can get to that top right-hand corner of the RBSDM chart, you're in good shape. Even if yards and touchdowns are great, and Stafford did win those counting stat battles last year. But I honestly think amongst reporters and media and journalists who are all, active online, you can read their work. They're part of a certain circle. I feel like things like EPA get extremely important. And if you look at the last 2 years, I mean, May is in that top right corner. I mean, he might just stay there. I think he's the type of quarterback. He was the type of prospect I believed in out of college, and he's already there. Why can't he just continue to have those types of results consistently, like the elite guys have had, Allen especially has had, Mahomes for the most part, Prescott is always up there, Stafford, Love, Lamar Jackson. That whole tier one. May is a little bit on the early side of his career, but I think he's off to a great start. He's extremely accurate, extremely aggressive, getting a situation upgrade, not just one, but 2 better wide receivers, I think. Elijah Vera Tucker and Caleb Lomu along the offensive line, Raridan instead of Hooper. I think it's as improved as any situation in the league. And then the other thing that might hurt you is having too much talent, you're on a super team. That last year kind of got thrown out the window because the Rams were so good across the board. But Tua, for example, or Brock Purdy in years past have put up unbelievable numbers and not gotten a lot of love in the MVP vote. So if you're part of these Shanahan tree schemes that seem to always elevate quarterbacks, a lot of times people will kind of write you off. Jordan Love, since he became the starter, there's not a passing attack more efficient than Green Bay's. Even Buffalo's, even Kansas City's. Jordan Love has been top 10 every single year and is first overall since 2023. Is he a tier 1 MVP candidate? No, he is not, even though he hasn't done that with great help. So he's a dark horse, I'd say. But if you're with LaFleur, if you're with McVay, even if you're with Ben Johnson, I'd say you might get taxed because these offensive coordinators just get so much credit, and deservedly so, I think. And May doesn't really have a guy from that tree.
the thing with Caleb, I agree with you. I agree with you in general. Stafford won last year, but again, barely. And it was specifically because of how good his team was. That's why he almost didn't win, because outside of that, like, he led in all the big stats, and they had, I think, the number one passing offense or right up there at the top. And if you thought the situation between that and New England was equal, wouldn't even been a debate, right? With Caleb, I think he might make too many spectacular plays to really get deemed or like labeled as a product of a system. Even if, like, regardless of whether or not you create these awesome plays out of structure, having like a bunch of great receivers and, you know, a Colston Loveland and a great play caller makes a huge difference. I think it's going to be tougher to give him that label because he's got the big arm and can run and makes all of these crazy plays.
Right. Someone's going to say, but Ben Johnson.
I agree.
Yeah. And they're going to get quote tweeted with like him throwing. He's going to turn his back to the defense and throw it left-handed. And
it's just hard to look at that and be like, Ben Johnson drew that up or something. And it's like, it's tough because if Caleb hits the way that he potentially could and like really reaches his potential, it'll be a situation where it's both, where it's like, he's in a really good position. He's on a team that maybe needs him to throw a ton to and gets into a ton of shootouts. And he's really talented in his own right. And it really is that level of player on top of it. So,
right.
Yeah.
You also brought up another good point that the season that your team has matters a lot. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, that's
the Rams.
That's the real reason.
The Rams are probably going to be the one seed in the NFC. Right. But, you know, and I think that's what makes it really hard to pick an NFC quarterback here. Is that it's like, is it going to be Jalen Hurts if they're the 3 seed or if they're the 2 seed even? Like, I do think being the 1 seed carries a lot of weight here. And so, like, I have the Patriots as my 1 seed in the AFC right now. So I think having May there makes a lot of sense for him to win it, you know, or if the Ravens, I think the Ravens have a good shot to be the 1 seed also. And so Lamar sits in there. That's kind of the main thing that's pushing me away from Caleb and Dak, is that I just don't know if those teams really have a shot to be good enough to get them there.
Their path is a little bit dependent on like them kind of winning a bunch of really tough games. Like, you probably see a world where the defense is not going to be that great and they're going to be in shootout mode a lot. Now, that can be a good thing if you go out there and it's like, we got into 7 one-score games that were like 30-30 and we won 6 of them. And we have this great record, and we kind of maybe have like a record that's a little better than we actually are because I've been like making these late game comebacks and I've had all these heroics. That could really help you. But at the same time, there's also a risk that it's like, I'm 3rd in yards, our passing offense is 2nd, and we're 8 and 9 because the defense is ranked 30th. I'm sorry. And it's like, nobody's doing a Westbrook
never won an MVP, you know?
Yeah, it didn't help. So I like the Lamar pick too. I wonder if maybe the defense could be revived by Mentor, and the story could end up being like Mentor is the guy that made the big change there, and that's the conversation around the season. But Lamar is also one of those guys that is like so good in his best seasons where I don't know if it matters. And of course, there's a ton of possibility for that to happen with any of these guys where it's like, there's these certain narratives that go against them, but they're so good, it's not really that big of a deal, right?
And
because
you know what? I guess
season,
the Rams weren't the 1 seed last year, you know? So maybe
Well, that was bizarre. That was bizarre. I mean, I think the last time a wild card team had an MVP, it was like Peyton Manning in 2006. Mm-hmm. And I think it was a Manning year. I don't know. I can't remember which year it was off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure
Stafford also had an awful performance in primetime against the Falcons that would have knocked anybody else out of MVP consideration. Which is why more than anything, I think it's about just hitting the right spot at your career. Like, I feel like the criteria for these MVPs have changed each season. Like 2023, Lamar Jackson wins. He doesn't have a great analytical season. It's nothing like 2024 or 2019. but they had one of the hardest schedules of all time, and they were the number 1 seed. And when you looked at the supporting cast, this was like the year before Derrick Henry got there. It just wasn't a very good supporting cast. So people were like, okay, we forgive Lamar for not being as analytically great as Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott.
Well, they forgave him after that Niners game.
Yeah, well,
the 49ers game. Right. Every big game, every time he was in prime time, they absolutely lit it up. And so that's what got rewarded, was like he just never really stumbled at a time when everybody saw it, like Purdy did.
Yeah.
And so they gave it to Lamar. And then in 2025, just 2 short years later, it's pretty much the exact opposite situation where like somebody really does stumble and isn't like analytically lighting it up, but they give it to him based on like yards and touchdowns and things like that. And the year before, Joe Burrow led the league in yards and he led the league in touchdowns, and he wasn't the 1 seed, but he didn't finish first in MVP voting like Matthew Stafford did. So I'm excited to see what matters in the MVP race this year, because I don't know what it does, what does and what doesn't. Sure. I don't know what people value these days.
But if you had your vote, what would matter the most to you?
I think it would be, to me, a combination of what you do under pressure and
yes,
like accuracy, honestly. Like a matrix of those two things, to me, is what makes you a quarterback that's carrying a team. And if I'm looking at you and you're at the top of the tables and I'm making a list of like what makes the team good, and the first thing I write down is, you, the quarterback. That to me is what makes an MVP. And to me, the way you establish yourself as that is like, yeah, there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, there's not a lot of separation, but yet still you are winning and creating value with like unbelievable plays out of structure. When you are in structure and everything is running smoothly, you're extremely accurate. It's a combination of those two things. And I think every single year there are guys, and we all know who they are, who combine those things and really ace the QB position. And to me, like, I kind of try to decipher who is the most deserving, kind of based on consistency, really, in all aspects, in all situations.
I think that's valid. I say under pressure is a really good one. How can you make up for your team's mistakes, right? Because that's really what makes a quarterback valuable. Staying on track when things are correct is important, yes, but I think there's a lot more guys who can do that than can make something happen when there's nothing there, or can make something happen when someone else screws up. And I would say in general, I think overcoming bad situations, beating what your passing offense should be, is really important. If you are in a situation where like the play caller stinks and the outside receivers just aren't quite right, and the run game is mid, but you still have a really efficient offense because you're the man, it doesn't get much more valuable than that. I think supporting cast is underweighted pretty heavily, even if it is kind of one of the main things that we look at. I wonder if stuff like this works on a pendulum, and because last year a guy who put up big numbers and had a great supporting cast won, that it'll be a little bit of backlash to that. And then this time around, it's going to go to somebody who maybe is overcoming a weaker situation, which could be a lot of guys like Allen's. Sure. Maybe if Moore isn't like a breakout, Allen's situation is still not awesome, but it's actually all right with between Kincaid and Shakir. And again, if Moore is good, that's not particularly bad, especially with a great run game. Right. Lamar, a little spottier, I would say, for sure. The pass catchers outside of Zay Flowers are pretty questionable, and I think a lot of the run game is him. Mahomes, I certainly think, is like that still. Drake May, I think, he has A.J. Brown. I think it's kind of balanced with May, but that's kind of why I think he's in a good spot. I think he's happy medium here, and also clearly good enough to be capable of putting together an MVP-type season.
What do you think about the playoffs then? Because one thing you really can't do if you're him is be in a late game versus a good defense and stink it up on a national stage. Does that worry you at all? How last season ended, that he's going to kind of
that definitely does not help the playoffs. Yeah, that's going to be.
You think
crushing.
last year's playoffs could hurt
Oh yeah,
this year's
no,
MVP?
no question it does. But
it gives
if
him
he
zero
balls-
wiggle room in big games. He has absolutely zero wiggle room in big games.
But does anybody? How many people do?
Stafford.
That would be my question.
Stafford has unlimited wiggle room.
Stafford has unlimited wiggle room. I think Mahomes and Allen have some decent wiggle room.
No, Allen does not, man. None of the top three do at all. Maybe Mahomes a little bit, maybe. But Allen, after the Broncos fumble, hell no. And Lamar, people are always so graceful to Lamar about his big game performance.
No, dude, Lamar has the least wiggle room of any. I've never seen a player, like for an entire career, he's never had wiggle room. He's a unanimous MVP in his first full season as a starter. But
it's insane how immediately impactful he was. It really is. It's one of the craziest breakouts. Like he's
like the winningest quarterback in a regular season history right now.
Right
through this,
and
point
it really is. It really is him. It's wins are they've had a great defense and all that, but like, man.
But like quarterback wins like carries so much weight. I feel like in just like the average person psyche. But it's like it just doesn't pierce him when it comes to Lamar at all. It's
because of the playoffs, and this is the issue with Allen and Lamar is that the questions about them are the playoffs, and they just can't answer that in the regular season.
Sure,
right? Yeah. It's about can you go and win a Super Bowl? You just can't answer that. The question about Mahomes is like, can he get his passing stats up back to like literally the best in the NFL? And people are going to accuse him of being washed if they're not. I'm going to be honest, like. I don't know if the counting stats are going to be that great this season unless the receivers take a step.
Sure.
I feel like May with the schedule has a chance to answer the questions asked of him in the regular season. But, so does Herbert. And again, any of these guys could just play well enough and have a big enough season to kind of beat all this stuff and be like, well, what are you going to say? Right.
Exactly.
So I don't want to make it out like this is the entire race. And because Lamar's played poorly in the playoffs before, doesn't have like his marquee run yet or anything, that he's just completely doomed. And maybe it helps that some of these guys are coming off of like an ACL. It's like, man, if Mahomes comes back from an ACL and balls, or it's like, Lamar, you're kind of raising an eyebrow. You're like, hold on, you didn't look great coming back. It didn't look like Lamar, that I know. If he comes back and it's just like lights out, we're winning 15 games. Minter's got the defense right. We're number one in rushing. I'm going for 1,000 yards. It'd be like, damn. So we'll see.
I mean, when Lamar is good, it's pretty undeniable. I think when Lamar is at his peak, it's pretty obvious the level to which he carries a team.
Yes.
And to what I'm talking about, I mean, when he runs around for 10 seconds and makes the entire defense miss, and then when he does throw it, the guy is wide open with nobody on the screen around him because they all chased after Lamar. You're like, yeah, this is the most valuable player in the NFL. Like, I remember in 2024, one of the charts that I saw was like average separation numbers for each team, and like the Ravens wide receiver separation when the ball gets thrown is like miles in front of where every other team is. And like some people were making the argument, they're like, look at how much help Lamar Jackson has. And it's like,
Willie Snead is
Rashad
different.
Bateman is not like that. I don't think.
Theo wishes Rashad Bateman was like that.
Mark Andrews is not quite like that. I think Lamar is holding the ball for 3.3 seconds on average, and that gives the DBs more time to cover and more times to fall off coverage. But yeah, like when Lamar is balling, he is a stone cold MVP candidate. I just think May played better than him last year, like I said, and I think May also is in a situation where AJ Brown is a great receiver. Like I just think that's more passing help than Lamar Jackson does. I think Romeo Doubs would be great news for the Baltimore Ravens.
Not even a question. I'm taking the Patriots pass catchers over Baltimore. I don't even think that's unless you think AJ Brown is like super done, but even at the level we saw him last year, I'm taking that all day. And I think
still
there's a
explosive.
Chance.
He's such a great deep threat, and May is such a great deep ball thrower. I think that's going to be a heavenly combination. So that's ultimately why I'm going with May. I think the playoffs last year, they were bad, no doubt about it. But Will Campbell had an injury. I think May's shoulder was was on the injury report, right? There's that. There's the weather, like the snow in Denver and the rain in Houston. And then no one had ever gone through a schedule of that many top like 5 defenses, going through the Chargers and then the Texans and then the Broncos and then the Seahawks. Like, geez, that's pretty intense and a situation that you just don't quite get into in the regular season. And then of course his wide receiver is Booty and Hollins and Diggs, and now it's AJ Brown and Dobbs
and Dobbs, and you still have Booty, right? I will say, we've got obviously Patriots Seahawks opens the season, right? So that's Drake May's chance to establish.
That's a great point.
This will crash and burn
in like a couple of days,
right?
Or fly.
Week 17 though is in New England against the Broncos. It is a TBD for what time that game is. That could end up being a Sunday night prime time.
Yeah, that could be a big
seed.
One.
That could, so those,
and then everyone takes their foot off the gas for week 18 or whatever, and
they play Miami really week 18. Point. Miami is their week 18 game.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
What will week 18 Miami look like? Analysts are worried it might not be great.
And Jordan Brooks might not be checked in at that point.
So the two things are that I want to say. Number one is that I am switching my pick in the East to the Patriots. I don't know if we said this last episode, but I think I'm going to lean New England, especially if I'm going to give it the MVP to Drake May. He almost certainly would need to be the winner in the AFC East, although apparently you never know. And then on top of that, I will say, for as bad as the playoffs were for May, there is a level of like, okay, well, if we can't give him the award because of like the perception around his playoff performance, that is really limiting our options. Because like people don't think highly of Lamar or Allen or Herbert. Burrow is kind of wishy-washy. He's made a Super Bowl, but there's a lot of accusations that it was like all the defense or whatever.
Yeah.
Dak, Stafford's obviously okay, but like Love, Caleb's okay. I don't know if anyone has a strong opinion about Lawrence and all that. So it's more guys than not. Yeah.
I picked one pick and then one dark. I made like a top 3 and then a dark horse. And for MVP, I think my top 3 are like May and Mahomes and Allen. And then my dark horse is T-Law. That's what I'd say.
I said dark horse is Trevor Lawrence too. I think he's got enough creation ability to get some credit for the offense. I think there's a really good chance that they could be super high powered with better pass catchers. And I really kind of believe in the pass catchers as a whole. I really think they're going to have a very good offense. And there's a chance that, I don't know, they could have a really good record if they get hot and they win a bunch of close games and all that. And I think Lawrence could rightfully get a good amount of credit for it. It's an outside shot, of course. It's a dark horse, but I like Lawrence.
Yeah.
Blaiden, are you going with Lamar or May?
I'm going to go with May. I do really like Lamar's shot for it, but if May comes out and is cooking week 1 against Seattle, and then he's cooking all season, like the rest of his schedule is harder, but the number of elite defenses that he plays really just isn't that high. I could see it, with AJ Brown, the passing stats being higher, and then he goes into their second to last game against Denver. He puts up that performance. Like, I think he really could do it. But I think Lamar would be right there as my second choice. And I'll give, I guess my dark horse would be Caleb. But
I like
Trevor.
Yeah, Caleb's a good dark horse too. There's one more guy I just want to bring up briefly.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels. I think there's absolutely a path for him to impact the game rushing a ton. The Washington offense might be like kind of that balance of good enough, but certainly no like superstars that you're pointing to and saying it's all that. If he were to have another stretch where like his accuracy went crazy and maybe the defense is like better to give him a chance, but not good enough to get any credit, I don't know. I think he's somebody who, in the right circumstances, could also make a run at as a dark horse. I think the rushing talent is super impactful. But I don't know if I have him as like that tier of quarterback up there with like the very top guys.
Or that tier of team.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but I just want to, anybody who can run like that really does have pretty crazy impact on the offense. And I do think there's an outside shot that it's like that's the story of Washington's season. What worries me and why I didn't bring it up originally is just that like they talk about maybe pulling back on the rushing. And if that's the case, I think that makes his path really, really difficult, and an offense again that I think is like pretty, it's fine, you know.
He should
around
have gotten more appreciation in 2024, I think, in the MVP race. Like they went from horrible to in the playoffs just by drafting him. It's not like they had an elite offense at that point. Like McLaurin was always consistently hovering around 1,000 yards. Like,
yeah.
He was kind of the main weapon there. And then it's like Zach Ertz and Austin Eckler and not a very good defense. And yet there's still this great team. And Jaden Daniels was, you know, had great numbers, was pretty efficient. I was a bit surprised to see him like finish as low as he did when you look back at that year. Like Burrow took a big portion of the vote, and he had Jamar Chase and he had T. Higgins, and they didn't even make the playoffs, right? And I think that just goes to show again, he's a rookie, right?
Yeah.
It takes a while to earn that respect, which makes it.
I think there is a 0%
up.
chance of a rookie ever winning MVP.
Zero.
Mahomes basically did, right?
So did Allen. Or not Allen, Lamar. Lamar.
Yeah.
Lamar, basically.
First year.
Functionally, Lamar did as well. Yeah, I agree.
You can be Lightning McQueen and burst onto the scene and be the hotshot rookie and win MVP. I believe it's possible, but it can't be like it doesn't help. Like Lamar was damn near like unanimous, right? In 2019. I think he may have been unanimous in 2019.
They had the number one passing offense and the number one rushing offense. And the thing is, the year before, you literally saw like, here is Joe Flacco. And then we put in Lamar Jackson and we started winning all of our games and our offense was awesome. And it's like, well, it's pretty hard to, you don't got to scratch your head and I wonder like what happened here. You got a pretty good idea. But Daniels is somebody that I feel like I've been too negative on over the last few years and in the draft process.
It's
and
tough because he also takes a lot of massive
that is difficult, but I feel like we can still sit here and say like when he's healthy and the accuracy can hit those highs, like he's really good. He is.
Before we get into the rest of the awards here, got a couple of other things to talk about. We're getting to that point in the year where you realize summer's almost over. Football is back. And it's probably time to get your wardrobe ready for the fall as well. That's why Quince has become one of our favorite places to get those everyday pieces that actually end up fitting in your wardrobe and you wear all the time. Quince makes premium basics like organic cotton tees, Mongolian cashmere denim, and tailored chinos, but without the typical luxury brand markup. Their pieces are made with premium materials, and they price everything 50 to 80% less than similar brands by working directly with ethical factories and cutting out the middlemen. And it's not just their clothes either. They've got bedding, bath, essentials, cookware, and travel stuff as well. Basically, if you're looking to upgrade some of the stuff you use every day, Quince makes it really easy, and that's where you should go. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/stayhot. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/stayhot. And now obviously, we're spending a bunch of time telling you who we think is going to win these awards. But if you actually want to put some of your NFL predictions to work, this episode is also brought to you by our good friends over at Dabble Fantasy. One of the reasons we've been enjoying Dabble is that it feels like more than just another DFS app. You can follow your friends or creators, see what everyone's playing, and interact with people before kickoff. We'll be posting our favorite NFL future picks before the season starts, along with all our weekly entries throughout the year. So make sure you follow Stay Hot Pod on the app, copy our plays, and if you like them, leave some comments, and let's sweat every Sunday together. You can download Dabble today, use the code STAYHOT, and when you play your first $5, you'll get $10 in bonus cash. And finally, if you're looking for something that can actually help you stand out this football season, we've been rocking GLD for a while now, and one of the things I really like is how much a good chain or bracelet can really change an otherwise basic outfit. You throw on one clean piece and suddenly the whole thing looks way more put together. GLD has chains, bracelets, pendants, and watches. And they've got everything from entry-level 18-karat gold-plated pieces all the way up to some solid gold and natural diamonds. So there's something for pretty much any budget. They also have an official NFL collab, so you can get pendants representing your favorite NFL team, which feels pretty perfect for football season coming around. And every piece, of course, comes with a lifetime guarantee. So if you want to upgrade your look heading into NFL season, heading into football season, check out GLD. New customers get 40% off with code STAYHOT at GLD.com. Again, that's 40% off with the code STAYHOT at GLD.com. Figured we can get into Offensive Player of the Year next. This one, I mean, we've been talking about our fantasy picks a little bit here as well. And it's been making me think this Offensive Player of the Year race could be as tight as ever, you know, between Gibbs and Bijan as the top two running backs, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith, and Jigba all could end up having really, really big seasons if depending on who you think could get the most volume. You know, with Burrow being healthy, Chase could be in line for as many targets as ever. Puka Nacua, obviously coming off a very good year, was in the Offensive Player of the Year race last season, which ended up going to JSN because he was so efficient. But maybe now JSN's in for a higher volume depending on the way they want to run their offense this year in Seattle. I'm really torn between who I want to pick for Offensive Player of the Year. I don't know how you guys feel on this right now.
I like Gibbs the best. I think that he's in a good situation. I think the offense will be strong, which isn't necessary, I guess, but I'm sure helps a lot. And I think he's in line for a lot of volume. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL, but you know, he's had a lot of work stolen from him from Montgomery. And ultimately, if you're not really getting up there in the counting stats, it's hard to win this award. It's really, really difficult. Pacheco is banged up, and I don't think nearly as good as Montgomery has been over the last few years. So there's a real chance that when Dan Campbell says, like, we want to give him the ball a ton, they give him the ball a ton. So when you're a super talented player and you can get the rock a lot, you got a chance to put up crazy numbers. I think Bijan is in a slightly worse situation, so I like him slightly less, but I also think Bijan's the best running back in the NFL. And ultimately, like, that gives you as good a shot as just about anything. I also like all the tier one receivers for me, which is Puka, JSN, Chase, and Justin Jefferson. Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was thinking about guys who are kind of in new situations. I mean, pretty short-term memory here, but I think about Saquon Barkley going from the Giants to the Eagles and popping off. I think about JSN getting Sam Darnold and getting Clint Kubiak and an already talented player kind of, you know, having that material upgrade over where he was at before and then just going nuclear and who that could apply to. I think about Justin Jefferson with Kyler Murray. That's somewhere where my head definitely went, was like, he's so good. And Kirk Cousins, he won Offensive Player of the Year with Kirk Cousins. That's not that easy to do. I mean, Puka Nacua had Matthew Stafford. JSN had I guess Sam Darnold. That's kind of similar. But I don't know. It just doesn't need to be that high of a bar for quarterback play. And I think getting Kyler Murray back, Justin Jefferson could bounce back in such a big way. There's also no real rush attack there that's super formidable. Like, I could see them just kind of keeping that high pass rate. They had one of the highest pass rates in the league when Sam Darnold was the quarterback. Is that kind of the way they want to get back to? And do they want to flow through Justin Jefferson? I think that he's a good pick. But another guy I had in my top three was Derrick Henry, who was close to leading the league in yardage at the end of last year. Kind of came back after a rough beginning of the season. And you just can't really discount that duo of him and Lamar Jackson. Like, it just seems like such a lock. This is going to be an elite rushing game. I don't think that there's a ton of other skill position talent to lean on. Like, it is a lot of, obviously Lamar is the star player there, but right. Henry is kind of this 1B who the offense completely flows through and could easily get to 1,500 rushing yards. So I thought he's kind of an underrated pick, but the guy I ultimately ended up going with was Puka Nacua, who I feel like has been pushing for this award and accumulating a ton of stats incredibly quickly. He's the all-time leader in yards per game, receiving yards per game. I think he could have won it last year. He had more first downs than anybody else, more EPA through the air than anybody else, a ridiculous contested catch rate, and just didn't get a lot of love from the voters. But I think he was right there. I think he was right there as a rookie. And then in those years before Puka Nacua was around, Cooper Kupp went for damn near 2,000 receiving yards and had a triple crown. So this scheme with this quarterback, I think, is plenty capable of producing just monster statistical seasons, especially in the efficiency metrics like yards per out run and EPA and things that kind of take into account like per route or, per target type things and reward explosive plays more than just a normal reception, things like that. Nacua is a monster. I think he is a little bit underrated in receiver conversations, how good of a route runner he is and just how special he is at the catch point. One of the best ever. So I went with Puka Nacua. I think the Rams are going to have this kind of super team mystique with how good they are on offense and defense. It wouldn't surprise me if they're just cruising through this regular season and people kind of want to heap awards on them. Stay tuned for my Defensive Player of the Year prediction.
I'm glad you brought up Jefferson and Derrick Henry. But it's going to be tough for those guys to get it. I think Derrick Henry, my concern with picking any Raven to win an award is like they could have a guy for literally every single one of these, I feel like, and it's tough because we've seen teams get multiple awards in a season before, but like I don't know who to pick for them to get. Like if they could have the MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year, if this team ends up being really, really good this year, like how do you decide which of those awards to kind of dish out? Because it really could be any of them. Jefferson, the biggest concern I have there is like if Kyler gets hurt, it's over. Like it's totally over.
That's a good point. They might be so bad at quarterback that you really can't work through it. And Kyler is like incredibly injury prone. So he's really relying on Kyler's health. Whereas it feels like a lot of other guys, like is Chase sunk if it's Flacco for 4 weeks? Not nearly in the same level. I that's a good thing to bring up. I really like the Puka pick. I can't lie because he has been pretty crazy. I think being a big time contested catch receiver is a big deal. I think that's the coolest type of receiver to be probably. And it really does make a big difference. And also like he puts up insane analytics, like you said, and insane volume. Maybe there's a little bit of like Stafford is really good at getting guys to 2,000 yards, I guess, or whatever. So maybe he gets discounted a little bit because of that, but I don't know. I don't really think
I so don't like that for Stafford. Like, how many guys get the opportunity to play with the players he's played with? Like, is Darnold going to get the Kingmaker crown because Justin Jefferson got to 1,500 yards with him and JSN got to 1,700 or whatever it was? Like, is that because Darnold has always been amazing at elevating every wide receiver on the roster, or is it because he got two really, really good wide receivers? Like, I agree. I think there's something to it with Stafford. Like, he's a good if you're a great quarterback, you can throw really accurate passes at all windows to your wide receivers and help them get statistics. So obviously Stafford being a great quarterback like helps Puka Nacua out. But I think Stafford, because he's been behind the Megatron seasons and the Cooper Kupp seasons and now the Puka seasons, it is especially true of like, man, somehow these wide receivers are becoming Stafford merchants when in fact they're just being, I don't know, maximized by a good scheming quarterback. But like, so is Jamar Chase, and so is a lot of players who win these awards getting maximized by a good offensive line or a good quarterback or whatever it is. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to hear that about these wide receivers. Like, yeah, Stafford is good and helping the wide receiver, but the wide receiver is also helping Stafford. Like it's a equal two-way street.
Yes. Jamar Chase is my pick. Jamar Chase was the Triple Crown winner in 2024 and did not win Offensive Player of the Year. I do wonder if that gives him a little bit of leverage for the voters to give him a bit of a nod this year.
And we know that like the executives believe that he is the number one wide receiver kind of by like a decent margin. And I wonder if that plays out into it's like, let's say Chase goes off and gets like another close to Triple Crown season. The Triple Crown is pretty fickle, to be honest with you. I think it's
hard to get it.
I don't want to say this because we're trying to get Steve Smith and all of them. It's a little overrated. Getting the most catches, it's like, well, it's like if you have the same amount of yards and touchdowns, but on like 7 less catches.
And also, if you play on a team that has a bad defense and can't run the ball, then like, you're gonna get more
yards.
Targets.
Yeah, touchdowns, pretty volatile, but catches.
Yards clear badly. There's sometimes you see these hypotheticals of would you rather have like 100 yards in a game or 2 touchdowns? And the answer is 100 yards if you're a wide receiver. I'm concerned if you say 2 touchdowns. I think it's a red flag.
Like you're asking a receiver which they would rather have.
They all better say 100 yards. They all better say 100 yards.
Here's the thing though. I think it depends where you're at. Like if you are already the highest paid receiver in football, or if you're like a college guy, or maybe if you're in high school, I think it's fair to say the yards. But if you're like, no. If you are entering a contract year, the touchdowns is the answer, I think.
It's yards always. I don't care how many touchdowns Jamal Williams or Eric Ebron or John Kuhn gets. Like, I care about getting to the red zone. And once we're there, you maybe have done your job, Justin Jefferson. You maybe have done your job.
Sometimes when I'm playing Retro Bowl, if one player has gotten me down the field, like by themselves, basically, I feel like they've earned the touchdown.
Look, on expert, it's pretty much impossible to break off explosive plays. So if there's one guy that grinds me down there, it's like, okay, well, the defenders are inhumanly fast because it's the hardest difficulty. We're going to get you that score, brother. Don't worry about it. No, I completely agree. I see what you're saying. Like, touchdowns are cool, but the issue is that the second you score a touchdown, then you have to leave the end zone and give away the ball. Whereas if you get in the red zone, you get to hang out pretty close to the end zone, potentially for multiple plays. I think I might take the 2 touchdowns. I can't lie. I bet you scoring a touchdown would be pretty sweet. It'd be my guess.
It would be sweet, but looking at your stat sheet at the end and seeing 100 yards would also be sweet.
2 touchdowns.
Getting an NFL player on the
100 is a bigger number than 2. I'll give you that.
I've been saying this.
It's also a bigger number than 12, which is how many points you'd be scoring. So,
look, getting down to the 1 yard line is underrated. That last
how many
yard
fantasy points is it though?
There's nothing more overrated in football than touchdowns.
Clip that.
If there's a game break and they're like, if there's a game break and it's like a plunge into the end zone, like that's the 50th most interesting thing that happened in the game.
Sure.
I know what you mean. In terms of like evaluating whether or not a player is good, it's possible to have like an impressive number of touchdowns, but kind of like situationally get your way in there. It's like a guy can have a great season and he just ends up with 7 touchdowns, and it's like, it is what it is. Whereas like a guy probably isn't going to accidentally have 1,500 receiving yards. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but when you zoom all the way out and say touchdowns are overrated in the game of football, it's like, dude, I can't follow you on that one at all. You know what you're doing, dude. That phrase, I hate touchdowns. It's like, we're 2 weeks before the season here, man. You got to get in the spirit a little bit.
Getting in
touchdown.
The spirit.
Don't show me some bullshit touchdown.
Yeah, if they made it,
something more interesting probably happened on the way down there.
If the NFL's like hype video leading into the season was every tush push that Jalen Hurts has done at the 1 yard line,
who cares?
Yes,
But then when a game break, when I hear Adam Shine go on, I better not see a tush push, man. I better see a one-handed catch, a great move in the open field, a dime across the middle, like all these things I want to see. But instead, I got to see a bootleg from the 3 yard line, and Eric All is unguarded in the flat.
Okay, but they are going to show that. They are going to show that one.
screaming at the red zone because they've just shown me a touchdown.
Dude. Show me where's between the 20s zone. Get
Theo,
out
when
of
they
there
show
when it's
Theo, when they show every touchdown from the window.
all
like,
touchdowns from every window.
He's like,
Where's
no, show me
explosive
every yard. Theo wants to see every yard from the window.
We're gonna have you situated like Clockwork Orange, man. It's gonna be a long season for you,
I want
brother.
to see these. Yeah, genuinely, show me between the 20s channel where as soon as they get in scoring position, it cuts away immediately because I don't want to see these tush pushes and these bootlegs, man.
That would be a very interesting,
Especially in the first three
football
quarters.
broadcast.
Don't piss me off. Don't piss me off.
Theo wants fourth quarter between the 20s and nothing else. That's the most valuable thing. But one other shout that I'll give, I think Pickens is really underrated to win this award. CD's getting a lot of the like odds on for the Cowboys receivers, but Pickens was a demon last year. And Theo, I think you've mentioned that you think Pickens could be the one to really win the bell cow role there as the number one receiver from Dak. I kind of agree with you. And if you're looking at like, if you're thinking the coolest type of receiver, Matt, is the contested catch. I mean, Pickens has a chance to have Pickens has a chance to have like the 5 best catches of the season.
I'll give you that. His highlights are as good as anything. I'm worried that even if he were to become like the 1A over CD, that it's still a 1A, 1B situation, and that 130 targets, really tough to cut it on that. Even if the Cowboys are throwing it a lot, and even if he has a really big target share, it's like it's just going to be tough because at the end of the day, if Justin Jefferson is sitting there with 300 more yards, how are you? I mean, it's just going to be a tough argument.
You're not going to
win.
have a case to make there.
And the fact that there's another, like, I guess this maybe doesn't hurt Jamar that much, but just having another stud there in general makes it like, well, are you not getting all the attention, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Here's my deep cut. You can get this guy for plus 25,000 odds if you're a betting person.
I'm trying to think about who you're going to say here. Is it going to be like Waddle?
Plus 25,000?
Yes.
Because I had my dark horse was like, I've just been hyping up K9 so much at this point, whatever. Like I like that.
I like that as a dark. I mean,
and then I was like, my psycho dark horse, I was like, you know who else I've just been crazy high on? Like Loveland. What if he goes for like 1,500 and they really do throw like the most in the NFL? We get like the most insane extreme outcome. I don't know, maybe. But that's like even beyond what I think a reasonable dark horse is.
Oh, it's Kraft. It's Kraft.
No, it's not Tucker Kraft. That would be awesome as hell, though. Kraft.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time you've picked a tight end to win Offensive Player of the Year. So
what did I do?
That's
did I
true.
do like Waller?
Yes,
Waller, you
Waller.
absolutely did. And never wrong, just early. Yeah, we're thinking.
Waller is such a good vertical threat tight end. That was not a good shot, but man, he was a good signing for the Panthers. No, my
it's really
25,000 dark horse is DJ Moore. If you want to like punt full court shots,
I might like Tucker Kraft more.
I'll say this. Last year, I never in a million years would have guessed that it was going to be JSN. I mean, he wouldn't have been in the first 25 guys minimum. That I would probably way more. And even if you were like, JSN's going to break out this year, you would have been like, well, the Seahawks are going to run the ball a ton. He's just not in a good situation for it. It's like, well, if you're as efficient as that, like you can make it work if you have an insane target share or something like that. I don't know. I'll say this. I'm a little warmer on DJ Moore for fantasy. I actually like him in fantasy. I think I was too harsh on him. Yeah, they're not super high volume, but if Moore has any type of bounce back, he's the easy one with a good quarterback. I think that's a good position to be in. I feel like I've actually had a number of fantasy opinions change as we've gotten closer to the season and gotten more news, but
I'm so excited for the 32 team draft, dude.
Oh, I'm pumped.
I've got the 8th pick. Like, I'm probably going to get a pretty good quarterback this year.
Probably. Yeah, no, you're you're in good shape up there.
Yeah.
But and
Some
maybe
guy who
like
wants
maybe
Jonathan Taylor in ninth is shaking right now.
I took Jonathan Taylor at like pick 24 last year, by the way.
that's good value.
That was great value.
But yeah,
Defensive player of the year? Or do you want to go to
Defensive player
offensive
of the year.
rookie of the year? Let's do
DPOY.
DPOY. Are we picking Garrett again?
I think defensive player of the year is kind of easy to predict. Like, this is where being due actually gets you somewhere. Like, there were years when TJ Watt was just due for one. Like, he just was always knocking on the door. He was always finishing in second after Aaron Donald dominated the award. And then once Aaron Donald slipped any little bit, guess who won one? TJ Watt. And then we started saying, well, who's due to get one eventually? It's Myles Garrett. He's due to get one. And guess what happened? He got one. Like, if you're just there in the conversation, you can win these awards. And a lot of times when someone wins, they win multiple. Like JJ Watt won like 3 in 5 years. I think Aaron Donald won 3 in 5 years. Now Garrett's won 2 in 2 years. Did he repeat? No, Surtain is in between there.
Yeah.
He's won 2 though, right?
2 and 3. Yeah.
He's won 2 in 3 years. So the question is, like, is Will Anderson going to do it, or is Myles Garrett still number one? That to me is where defensive player of the year is at, and I'm at
Or
Myles Garrett still.
Or will Kyle Hamilton with Jesse Minter?
Will Blaiden get the only vote?
Dude, if they gave me a DPOY vote, if Hamilton's cooking, I'd give him a vote.
I would love it. Hamilton would be cool. It would need to be a season where, like, the sack leader has like 13 sacks.
Nah.
so
No.
first off, I completely agree that it's really tough for non-pass rushers to win.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but it's really tough. They definitely have it harder. Although we've seen corners win it, but like a safety, when is the last time that a safety won?
It's probably like, did
Bob
Palomalu
Sanders.
ever?
Yeah, Sanders,
Palomalu
maybe.
in
Did Palomalu or
2000.
Ed Reed? Yeah.
Palomalu in 2010.
Yeah, I think you're right. That must have been the, I mean,
When the
wow, it's been that long though. See, that's one of those positions where it's like, sorry, the stats just aren't good enough. We're never, ever going to give it to you. And it's like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, Palomalu was in 2010, Bob Sanders in 07, Ed Reed in 04. And they haven't
They
done
used to give it to
since.
safeties, man.
They used to give it to safeties. Woodson was a corner when he won it still. But like, and then the last off-ball linebacker,
Miss Keekley.
it's in 2013.
Yep.
It's
Second
tough,
season,
dude.
and that was it. And Warner has been that level and has just never gotten consideration. And it's just tough because I think the pass rushers are so valuable that it's really difficult to just like look at a Garrett and the way they affect the game and be like, well, we're adjusting against that. I also want to say TJ Watt did not win Defensive Player of the Year because he was due. He won because he had 22 and a half sacks.
Well, I'm not saying that they like voter fatigued somebody else out of it. I just think like pass rush is kind of consistent year to year, it seems. Like TJ Watt having 15 sacks one year. It's not like a corner who has 10 interceptions one year and then 3 the next. So I just feel like defensive.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Where like he was first team All Pro all 3 years in a row and happened to win it on the third.
If we kept saying like an offensive player of the year candidate is due because they haven't won one, like it just would not be as fruitful as like the scope of the defensive player of the years. Like I'd like to know how many times the second place player ended up winning one in the future for each award. And I think DPOY would be up there. So I just think
I do think Chase might be due for offensive player of the year.
I mean, he just needs to keep on doing what he does, right? And then eventually, like, that will stand alone as the best season. Like, if you can just consistently do that. And I think, like, these pass rush win rates charts, man, like, every single year, where was Aaron Donald? Every single year, where was Aaron Donald? And every single year, where's Chris Jones now? He's my dark horse guy that probably won't win. But, I mean, there's not that many double-digit sack seasons in like defensive tackles history, and he's always good to get one of those. Like maybe you could say like, wow, he's maybe not first in the league in sacks, but second at D tackle. Like maybe we could give it to him, but I don't think that'll happen. I think it'll be Garrett or Will Anderson. I just think those guys are on great defenses and own the pressure rates, and especially Garrett.
I think Garrett being in a great system, like I don't think it hurts him at all. Maybe if his double team rate dips, but like he's still gonna get double. It's not like you're like, well, we're forgetting about Garrett or whatever.
We got to double team Kobe Turner instead.
If his double team rate dips, it'll be okay because his sack
something
rate
else is going to go up. Yeah,
30%. Yeah,
they double team him for a great reason.
Yes, they do.
I just think Garrett's the best defensive player in the NFL. We are talking a lot about narratives, and rightfully so, but at the same time, like nothing is more important than just being really good. I do think there's other guys who are well within that range where it's like, yeah, if they have like a big season, or they like the sacks really fall in place, or they take another step. Like Will Anderson's a great shout. Chris Jones, I could see it. That's pretty dark horse. If Parsons was 100% to start this season, he would be the other guy that you would really point to and be like, he's kind of behind Garrett at the moment. But ultimately, like they just haven't had a big issue with giving the award to the same guy several times if they're really the best defensive player. I think Garrett is really the best defensive player. And for as likely as it is that maybe, I don't know, like, I don't know how. I'm trying to imagine a scenario where like it's disappointing Garrett in LA. The expectations are as high as they possibly could be, and there's a real chance that they're like a legendary defense or a legendary pass rush because
he
they
could
just
break
added
his
Myles
own
Garrett.
sack record.
Yeah, he could, if he gets up to like that 20 area again. I just don't know like what the argument is going to be against him, because Will Anderson also is in a really good situation on an awesome defense too. It's not like you can say, well, Will Anderson's working with nothing and look what he's done for the Texans defense unless there's a ton of injuries. So I think he's within range, but I'm just going to go Garrett. I didn't put a ton of thought into it other than I think Garrett's the man.
He is the man, and it breaks my heart that he's not going to do it in Cleveland, but he did get his first and his second in Cleveland. So shout out. And he broke the sack record in Cleveland. So that brings us to, let's do the Rookie of the Year awards. Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's a few guys that it could be. Jeremiah Love is obviously the favorite superstar running back, one of the best running back prospects we've scouted. Some might have other guys from earlier above him. And he's going to be in a situation where they're probably going to have to run the ball a lot because the quarterback play is not particularly great, but they have a pretty good offensive line. Carnell Tate could be in line for a decent number of targets right away and be the premier receiver for the Tennessee Titans. And then, of course, there's Mendoza, but a lot of that depends on how much he plays, if at all. You expect him to play at some point this season, but if it's, I don't know. How late could Mendoza come in and still win Offensive Rookie of the Year if he's playing pretty good?
It really depends on how well he's playing, but Shuck was like chasing it down, and which would have been bullshit. And
it would have been awful.
How did he play 7 games?
Something like
6
that.
or 7. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, he hardly played. I think you could get it done. It really depends on what everybody else does, but if it's kind of an unspectacular Rookie of the Year race, you could probably get it done in like 8. I'm worried that Mendoza now, especially
we're underrating.
Okay.
Oh, okay. He played 10.
That's right. Okay. 10 would be pretty good then. I think you could probably do it with 10 if you were like really balling. I don't think Shuck was like quite that level. I mean, their passing offense was still not that great anyway. That's what was kind of frustrating about it. My pick is Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love is the best offensive rookie from this class.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick him. And I feel like, I mean, take out positional value because here it doesn't really matter outside of quarterback, and Mendoza isn't even slated to start the season, so he's a big disadvantage. So take out positional value, or just look at the guys who get yards, right? Because that's who really has a chance to win this thing. Who do you think the best prospect is from this draft class heading into year 1? It's Love, and it's not close. Definitely Jeremiah Love. And he's got the ankle thing. That makes me a little nervous. Sure. But if he can get right, I think he's going to get a ton of work. I think the Cardinals offense actually could be pretty decent. The more you think about it, the more I'm kind of bought into them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're in a bunch of tough situations and tough games, and that screws things up. But ultimately, I think like Lemon's situation could be tricky. Tate's situation could be tricky. Tyson already has a really
injured.
horrible hamstring thing, which is brutal. So, yeah, I mean, there's other guys that I think are in roles where, like Stribling especially, where I'm like, okay, well, what if he really is like the guy there and they're going to use him all the time and he's in this really, really favorable offense and Shanahan is able to deploy him and like the strength pays off or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's like my dark horse. I kind of buy into the Stribling stuff. Cyrus Allen, I'm a little bit lower on for those odds to like really get that workload as a receiver. Like he could really hit and go for 700 yards. It kind of feels like, right? And if he's like slot heavy, which he probably will be, or at least he was in college, that means that he's really competing versus some other dudes for that role, and that's going to limit how much time he can spend. If he was more of an outside guy, I'd have a little bit more faith in him, like really getting the volume. So I just, I like a lot of the top receivers, and maybe they have good seasons, but I think Love is definitely the best offensive prospect. I think he's my pick to get the most total yards from scrimmage pretty easily, which I think ultimately will decide the award as much as anything. And I think Stribling has an outside shot, and that's how I'm looking at it.
It's not a great year, I think, for offensive rookie of the year candidates. Like I was kind of going through the draft, and it's a lot of offensive linemen going to the premier locations, I feel like, and
Sure.
Tate just isn't having a great preseason, and Tyson's already hurt, and man, it's just not like I went through rounds like 2 and 3 and didn't see anybody that I really loved landing in a spot where I think they can win offensive rookie of the year. And then I got to like Elijah Surratt and was like, that's like, once you get out of the first round, he's kind of the first name that stands out to me. But yeah, I think it's kind of a thin pool. It's like Lemon and Love and just not a lot of quarterbacks with a path to playing time. And I don't know. I don't know if that is going to be accurate or not. That's just my vibe. I went with Lemon, even though I do think Love is the best prospect. I do worry a little bit about him toiling away in Arizona on a bad team, last in the division. Maybe he's getting, a lot of yards, but maybe it's inefficient yards or something like that. Maybe he misses the first week or 2 of the season. It sounds like he's pretty up against it with the high ankle sprain. Maybe he's off to a slow start. He doesn't look quite the same. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think he is the best prospect, and I love what I've seen from him in the preseason, his ability to set up people behind the play and just the unlimited creativity where you never know what he's going to do. Like he'll sideways hurdle you or do some crazy thing that no other running back in the league would really think to do. So I like that aspect of him. But in that first preseason game, I thought he also had some moments where he could have been bouncing it outside maybe when he shouldn't have, or cutting against a corner when maybe he should have just trusted his speed. And he was pushing pretty hard and playing pretty hard for a long time, and he ended up rolling his ankle. So I think there could still even be some rookie growing pains, even though he's very talented in just an overall poor franchise, especially for a rookie, right? Like it's easy for these guys to kind of disappear once the actual games start and all the storylines start going on. Like, yeah, Jeremiah Love is the hottest ticket in town now when the most recent big event was the draft. But if Arizona's 0-8, like how many people are really talking about the season that he had? I don't know. And Lemon is a great prospect as well. He's on just a bigger ticket market on a team that should be in the playoffs, winning the division. He's a 1-for-1 AJ Brown replacement who's had huge seasons with Jalen Hurts. He's not 1-for-1 in terms of talent, but one guy's out, one guy's in. You know what I mean? And
he's better than AJ Brown.
Well, Wicks is probably going to get some work on the outside, but
Wicks will. I know Wicks has all the training camp hype and Lemon does not. I've seen Wicks for many years in Green Bay, and he's just the ultimate dirty work guy, like clearing out routes for other people, blocking. Like if you want someone that's a wide receiver 3 who can make a spectacular player here and there and do some of those off the ball things that you need a wide receiver to do. Like, he's that guy. Do I really think that he's going to be something completely different than he's been in Green Bay with Devontae Smith and Lemon in town? I kind of don't. I think that he's good. I think that he's a good receiver and can be clutch. I mean, he basically won us the Detroit game on Thanksgiving, so shout out to him. Tip of the cap to him there. But I think Lemon's in line for a big workload and in a good offense, or an offense that can be really good. We've seen it before, and
yes,
yeah, has a lot of things going for him, and so does Jeremiah Love. But I don't know if he has as much going for him.
We've teased the idea before of trying to push enough narrative that an offensive lineman wins Rookie of the Year when it was Joe Alt, right? Because he was like the greatest tackle prospect ever. I've been thinking, could we do that this year with like Vega Ione, because he's replacing Daniel Falele, who was like the worst guard in the league. And if the Ravens offense ends up being sick this year.
I have bad news about what Vega Ione's like pressure allowed numbers could look like. And if that number says one the whole season, he's not winning the award. If you pitch a perfect game for the entire season, maybe you would get some love in the offensive rookie of the year voting, but it has to be that good. And I don't think this offensive line class,
he would have to be like the best. He would have to be first team All-Pro.
He'd have to be protector of the year. People would have to swear.
He was
like
first team All-Pro. Ooh, but like if he was first team All-Pro, but Love went for like 1,400 yards, but it was like efficient, it would be close.
It would be Love. It would be Love. There is no way anybody is casting their vote for an offensive lineman. Like
last year they didn't even like, it wasn't even considered in the slightest. And like, dude, I mean, last year was not like the top wasn't that strong. There wasn't a quarterback.
No.
More people would have voted for Shuck than Banks, who played, I think, at a higher level for the entire year. But Shuck played at a worse level for a shorter amount of time, but was a quarterback. Like,
but
I just don't see how it happens.
Yeah, I'm taking Love as well, but I do like the Lemon shout, and I'm interested in Tate. I think Tate could get a lot of volume, and if the connection between him and Ward ends up being quite strong, I think there's a good shot for it. But the preseason hasn't been kind to them so far, so it is a bit tricky to cast that. For defensive rookie of the year, dude, it's tough because like I love Bane, and apparently he's been absolutely slaughtering people in camp and in preseason and in joint practices. And then people like David Bailey, and you know, he's a good speed to power guy, but he's getting a lot of like hype in the voting, or not in the voting, in the odds rankings, right?
Yeah,
but I just don't love David Bailey for that. Who I do like are like all of the Ohio State guys. It's like all of the Ohio State guys, and then Bane are kind of the guys that I feel really good about right now.
I think there's so many good options for defensive rookie of the year. It's incredible. And any of them you want to pick, I'm going to have a hard time arguing against. I love Delane. I think Delane is so good. His last season at LSU was unbelievable. He immediately steps into a huge role on a big time team. If he balls out, you're going to know about it, and he might ball out. Caleb Downs, an unbelievably good safety prospect, somebody who I think is an easy candidate to be an instant impact guy, also in a major market. If he balls out, he's trying to rescue this horrible Cowboys defense that we kind of know, like even with Quinnen Williams, was still really bad. If they turn it around and Caleb Williams is who we think he is, he's going to have a really, really good case for it. Probably doesn't help that he's a safety, but it probably does help that he plays for the Cowboys and his situation looks like it is. I think he's kind of in the right spot for it. I really like Bane. I think he's the best pass rusher from this draft class. I think that's the position you want to be. I think he's also somebody who feels like he's going to translate pretty early. We'll see how the arm length stuff plays out, but I think he's got the tools outside of that to make an immediate impact. I like Arvell Reese, man.
Yes.
I think Reese is going to be in a position where he gets to do what he's best at from day one, which is fit against the run. And while you might figure like, okay, him scraping over and like him holding the point and making a play, it's like, is that really going to be enough to get you Defensive Rookie of the Year? It might, because the Giants' rushing defense was straight up the worst in the NFL last year. So if all of a sudden their rushing defense is considerably better, who's getting the credit for that? Probably Arvell Reese, rightfully so. Sonny Styles, I also think, is somebody who's like, he's really filling the role that was most badly needed by Washington last year. They just don't have the athletes. Well, what if Sonny Styles comes in and makes a bunch of big plays early and shows like, hey, he's part of a wave of athleticism and new defenders that Washington has brought in, but I could see the path for him too. So any one of those guys I really like. I'll say by betting odds, I believe Delane is the longest shot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think corner is probably the second position you would want to be after edge rusher. I think he's just as good as any of those guys or relatively in the same tier. So maybe he'd be my favorite pick straight up. I'll go Downs. Dark horse, Jermon McCoy.
Oh,
It's crazy if he plays.
If he plays.
If he plays, I'm right there with you. McCoy, I mean, was my second favorite prospect in this class just off of movement skills alone. Movement skills and ball skills. Like, he's such a ridiculous.
He was so good. He
he
plays, he's so good.
Yes. If he plays. That's the key there.
But like, man, he is a baller. So and you know who else I kind of like? Thiedemann. I think he's really talented, aggressive defense that, is going to blitz a lot. Maybe he's the guy who gets to benefit off that and get some interceptions, but he can also like fit that against the run. It might be tough because I think the Bears defense will be bad. And that probably doesn't help, but he's also somebody I like.
I like both of the Colts additions, Allen and Halsey. I think if one of them ends up having a really good year, Halsey's been having a pretty good preseason and camp and practices. He's been showing out a lot and is slated to be a starter.
You've not watched CJ Allen on the long Falcons touchdown.
Okay, run. Yeah, but
see what happened.
Not his fault.
Yeah, Allen. I'm just not there with Halsey. I think is a really good player, but I don't think he's like on my short list for defensive rookie of the year.
Anywhere close.
I do like
my
Halsey.
short list for defensive rookie of the year. I cannot lie.
Yeah,
I think Bain to me here is my easiest pick on the list. That if I had to bet on anybody that I bet on for an award here in this episode, if I had to live with one of them and guess which one is most likely to be right, Ruben Bain for defensive rookie of the year would be what I say. I just think he's the best pass rusher. And if he can touch double-digit sacks, his odds for the award are really, really high. I loved what he did in the preseason. He only played 6 snaps. That last snap was a move where he got the offensive lineman's hips turned and then grabbed under his armpit and torqued and just threw the guy to the ground while countering inside. It's a move that you don't see often in the NFL. That hump move where they attack an elbow or an armpit and forklift up while countering inside. It's just not something you see a whole lot. Usually they'll try to win with their feet or around the edge or straight speed to power. This is kind of a weird changeup, but it's something Bain is so good at. I wonder if offensive linemen will have some problems with it just because he's such an expert, but nobody really tries it to the same level that he does. Like, could that be something that offensive linemen just aren't quite used to? But he's also got great explosiveness, great bend, great speed to power. He's a good run defender. He's in a good front four now, especially with Vita Vea under contract for the foreseeable future. It makes me think like this Tampa Bay front, should be able to flush quarterbacks to him if they need to. They should be an overall good run defending unit. I just think he's on a good front and he's a good player himself. It's such an advantage, I think, over Bailey, who's the betting favorite. but I don't think he's as good of a pass rusher with all the same answers, and I don't think he's on as good of a front. So Bain is already good value just on that alone. I think Bain plays a premium position and is a really good player. He is already flashed, and he stays out after practice for so long. How can he lose if he stays out after practice?
True.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah, I think I like Bain too. I really do like Reese. I'm with you, Matt.
Yeah.
Like the run defense could be crazy, a massive upgrade. I really like Downs. But
He's
Bain
got
is
bad
just,
defensive tackles in front of him, which just makes me think it's going to be hard for Reese to have like an amazing season for himself. Like, maybe that's unfair, but I look at the D tackles in front of him, and it's like, is it going to have
you can have a lot of tackles with bad D tackles in front of you. It's just
maybe
where are those tackles happening is what's important.
Yeah, I just wonder how he's going. If Bain has double-digit sacks, like it's the same thing with defensive player of the year. Like it's edge, because we have all these great pressure stats and all these great ways to kind of measure it. We just don't really have that with the other positions, especially linebacker and safety. And it's just hard for two good players for the linebacker to really like stand out as like, vote for me.
That's valid, and I think it's a good reason why Bain and Delane really are at an advantage because of their position, and Bain is at a really big advantage because edge rusher is considerably better than corner. But corner has, like, you look at defensive player of the year, right? Corner's got a shot, you know.
No doubt,
there's been a couple in recent memory.
Yeah.
I will say I do think that the Giants as a situation actually give Reese a pretty good chance to show some value and their overall rush defense and the impact he can make there. And I think Downs can do the same. And I think people are pretty open-minded to a guy like Downs. Like if he's making tackles behind the line of scrimmage and playing down towards the line of scrimmage, he's got a shot. What we really need to address, though, is that you are like Tillery level when it comes to Darius Alexander. You hate Darius Alexander. I'm not saying that I'm high on him, but like, because I mean, Harris and Reeder, those are like two fine vets. I don't think those are like
maybe 5 years ago.
Well, Reeder was far more than fine vet 5 years ago.
Yeah, sure, but he's been
trust, bro.
We haven't seen DJ Reeder be like all pro level run stuffer since.
No, I'm not saying
he doesn't need to be all pro level. Reese is going to be the all pro level run stuffer.
That's a good point that the Giants run defense was so bad last season that if it's pretty good this year, or if it's average this year after trading Dexter Lawrence away, sure, I'll vote for Reese myself. Like, yeah, that would probably be a pretty incredible feat by him. He's probably balling out of his mind, which is possible. I mean, he's such a thumper downhill. Maybe he can fix a bunch of issues, but yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Carson Schwessinger last year was defensive rookie of the year just by being like a ferocious flying downhill.
Have we not brought that up yet?
Right? I mean, he's the first linebacker to win it since Matt who?
Luke Kuechly.
That's a
good point. I don't know why that slipped my mind. Yeah. It's possible. It could be done. I agree they're at a disadvantage, but it's not unworkable, especially for somebody like Downs. Downs is the man.
Yes.
You know that as much as anybody.
Oh yeah.
You're by no means a Downs hater. So I think I'm sticking with Downs, but Delane, I guess, is value versus like what's expected, and Bain I think
Bain's
probably does have an edge in it. Well, he's a demon.
He is a demon. He is.
It's hard to argue with that.
It's hard to argue with picking good players. Yeah. Coach of the year. Theo, you said defensive rookie of the year was the one you feel most confident in. Coach of the year is the one I feel most confident in.
Ooh.
Really? Who?
Yes. Jesse Minter.
Minter is a good pick.
I really do think like the Ravens are going to be a top seed, and they have a lot of guys that, well, first of all, Coach of the Year is the award that always, like, it goes to a coach that's like kind of in a new situation, or
Of course.
right? You're never like, there's a reason Bill Belichick didn't win Coach of the Year 10 years in a row or something. Like,
Right.
it just doesn't happen. It doesn't
It's a big
really
expectation award.
Yes.
Or sort of arrive to the scene type of award. You can also get it that way. I do wonder if the expectations for the Ravens are just straight up high. You know what I mean?
I feel like they're
that
not,
can ding
though.
them some.
I feel like
they
they're
are.
not.
I think you're wrong.
Maybe.
If the Ravens won less than 11 games, it would definitely be considered a disappointment.
Yeah,
Even
that's
11
fair.
itself sounds like a
That's fair. I
disappointment.
just
Now,
feel like
part of
people
that,
are low on Lamar. I feel like people are low overall on the defense because it wasn't very good. And so there is an expectation of like, well, he has to turn the defense around. But then
Minter is
also-
getting credit for the defense. The offense is whatever. If Lamar is great, then Minter is going to get no credit for that at all because Lamar has been great through bad situations before. Now, what Minter could get credit for is the defense. And even though they've made some serious additions and are potentially just like healthier,
Yeah.
if they go out and have like the best defense, that would be a good path to him winning.
Sure.
But I do think their expectations are still high. And while I think the arrive to the scene look can work for him, there are other teams like the Saints, for instance, with Kellen Moore. If the Saints were to take advantage of a bad schedule and they were to like ball out and win 12 or 13 games, I wonder if that would beat expectations enough for it to go to him. But at the same time, a big part of the reason why I like New Orleans so much is because I thought they had two really great receivers and Tyson's injury is really bad.
It is.
Hurting your
It's
hamstring like this it's really, really bad. So
You know what? I was just thinking right now, Mike McDonald is like didn't win Coach of the Year, right? Even though
he did not.
Situation, but him and
exactly. And what could he have possibly done? You
like
know what I'm saying?
more,
Well,
right?
the issue is that the Patriots
beat expectations.
They beat expectations. And they had a guy that I thought should have won MVP at quarterback.
Right.
And still Vrabel gets, the Coach of the Year nod.
But see, I don't know. And that's the tricky thing again with the Ravens is I'm trying to I think they could have a Coach of the Year candidate in Minter, MVP in Lamar, Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Hamilton, just because I think he's that dude, and a Offensive Player of the Year candidate in Derrick Henry. And I'm like, I think if everything is if they're just really, really good across the board, the default to me is just to give it to the coach.
I think that's probably fair. That's the least hotly contested one. I think Hamilton's going to have a hard time because he's a safety. I'll be real with you. Respect, I don't think Derrick Henry is like that high on my Offensive Player of the Year list.
Sure.
You're kind of forgetting to name somebody, I feel like, in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Could Hendrickson get there? Because he was the sack leader 2 years ago. Well, here's the thing. He was a sack leader 2 years ago, and he didn't get the award. So he's a guy that doesn't get credit for a bunch of sacks. Like, he's somebody that people watch go off and say, like, well, the run defense isn't exactly elite, and he's just not like Garrett. He's not like TJ Watt. So even if he gets 17 sacks, could that just be direct Jesse Minter, like, gobbling up not all the credit, but like people just don't want to give Trey Hendrickson an award. It's just that simple.
Well, I'll be real with you though, like respect to Trey Hendrickson, but voters are like completely right about this. I don't think they're this narratively driven. Myles Garrett is definitely better than him.
Yes.
Like definitely.
And so is Surtain. So is Surtain. But he's got a guy who can lead the league in sacks, and Minter has a guy who can lead the league in sacks, and people say, maybe it's the system or something.
And honestly, that's an even better point for why Minter could win Coach of the Year. Is like if they do have a guy that goes for 15 plus sacks, and they'll
probably be a top 10 deep,
the best safety in football, and Roquan turns around and is a top 3 linebacker in football, and the corners are better than they were last. Like, yeah, they could be the best defense in football.
They got a bunch of good defensive players who have zero shot at winning defensive player of the year.
They have
kind of like the Seahawks.
Kyle Hamilton could, kind of like the Seahawks, but I think the big difference is, and the Seahawks were the ones and he didn't win the award. Like that is
gotta do it in year one. Gotta do it in year one. Minter has to do it in year one.
You know, and McDonald is now plus 6,600 to win Coach of the Year.
Because you just can't win it like this. You can't win it after you win the Super Bowl. Yeah. I wonder if that's ever happened, honestly. It's really difficult now, I can tell you that. So I really think it's a team that beats expectations. My pick for that was New Orleans. I'm a little bit more shaky on it, and I do like the Minter pick still. You know who the favorite for this is?
Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh.
Absurd.
I'm a little surprised by that.
Well, he can turn around the Giants, right? Like they got the young quarterback.
Except they're not. But like,
I guess I'm just not that high on the Giants.
I'm not high on the Giants.
My pick, but I see the vision. I guess
like they could be last in this division. Like
what shocked me is the person with the worst odds of all 32 coaches is someone that I almost picked for this award, Shane Steichen.
Oh yeah, Steichen is a good pick because if they do it again,
if it proves to be that the Colts just got unlucky and injured at the end of the year and they kind of come out hot and go from third in this division to second in the wild card round, or even if they win it, like Steichen, it's not Daniel Jones, you know what I mean? Like another way to get this award is you have a really good offense without a really good quarterback. That's something
that's a great point
that you can parlay into Coach of the Year like Kevin Stefanski has multiple times. So I look at Steichen, I'm like, this is a guy who could have a really good offense without a really good quarterback who could go. They don't have huge expectations, but I kind of like what their ceiling is. So he was somebody at the very least, he shouldn't be the worst odds. Like, what are the odds? Like Mike Vrabel repeats. Like, I just don't really see that happening.
And he already has.
What the hell would have to happen? Yeah,
Kyle Shanahan didn't win last year. Like, I don't know if he if you've come into the year with expectations at all. Like, I would just put those odds at like not gonna happen, buddy. I don't know. My pick though is Kevin O'Connell. I just think that they've got a chance to be really good with a better quarterback. I mean, maybe KOC has lost all of his aura because he's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer and is now not the quarterback whisperer because JJ McCarthy failed. But I really think Kyler is going to step into this offense and do a good job. I've said it many, many times over the course of this offseason that he's got the creativity to find windows over the middle to some extent. And KOC can adjust things about his offense where it's more Jefferson fades and Jefferson goes than Jefferson things over the middle. It's not like he's incapable of adjusting. And they've got a great defense with Brian Flores. So I just think if the Vikings kind of figure things out and get back to having a great offense to go along with this defense, they can be a very good team. And KOC can get the, brought Kyler Murray back from the dead boost or whatever. So I just wanted him.
Yeah. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of like Kyler for comeback player of the year, really.
I have Mahomes because he's coming off the ACL, and I think he could win MVP. So,
I have Mahomes too. I'm like Mahomes or Matt, Joe Burrow or whatever.
Who's your coach?
I'll go Kellen Moore. I'll go Kellen Moore, but I like the Steichen pick. I like the Minter pick. This is a tough.
This
one.
award is almost completely random. It feels like if you could pick Coach of the Year correctly, I'd be really impressed because the odds. None of the top favorites have good odds.
It's really hard to figure out what the criteria is going to be any given year, where at least it's with defensive player of the year, okay, you got to be the best pass rusher probably. You got to be Myles Garrett or something. It's
you got to get a lot of sacks. You got to get 15 sacks basically, and then you'll probably win.
Yeah, there's no you don't actually
unless you're trading
have to be the best coach
or TJ
to win Coach of the Year. Right. So
right. Matt Nagy has a Coach of the Year.
This is an award that is
Coach of the Year.
That is narrative based. probably more so than it is like based on exactly how good the coaches are themselves. Like it helps a lot to be a good coach, but also there's a lot of good coaches that don't really have any chance of winning this just because it's not quite right.
Yeah, it's.
Do we want to go to Protector of the Year?
You guys are taking Mahomes for a comeback?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is probably the right pick. Like, I don't think.
Who did you have?
Well, I like Kyler.
Well, Kyle Hamilton's coming back from getting disrespected.
Yeah, I don't think you had a comeback player of the year picked.
I didn't.
You're right.
I was thinking that we weren't gonna do that one because I was just kind of like a.
It is a silly award. It is a very silly award.
Because a lot of Joe Flacco won comeback player of the year, dude. Like coming back from.
Oh, there was a great one this year. I mean, I love to check the odds just to see like what is the supposed probability of this type of stuff. And one of the guys who was in the top 10 of the opening odds was Malik Willis. Now, what the hell is he supposed to be coming back from?
He hurt his shoulder, and Clayton Tune had to come in for a Week 18 game.
He was just the backup, man. He's just been developing.
Yes,
that's not a comeback. Man. He was a third round pick. All right, at least like a Darnold type, you're like, all right, yeah, I get it. But like Willis is not coming back from anything. That'd be like giving it.
Jordan Love was robbed of comeback player of the year after sitting on.
After sitting by, he came back from being behind.
He came back from being overdrafted. He came back from being overdrafted and sitting behind Rodgers.
I'm gonna win comeback player of the year.
That's true. We can't forget about that.
No, I would probably take Mahomes or like Parsons or Neighbors.
I think it's going to be Mahomes because he's quarterback.
Could be Jaden.
The best
Daniels.
player in the league was hurt last year.
Yeah,
he's a quarterback. The best player in the league was.
Yeah, it could be Burrow. I mean, it probably is going to be it's going to be whichever quarterback was injured last year and has the most yards this year.
Yeah, pretty much. Unless Parsons is contending for DPOY, and I could see him getting. I could see
Parsons. Burrow wouldn't make sense to me because he came back Week 10 last year. Like he played a long time. So now what is he coming back from?
That's true.
A turf toe injury from Week 2 that he already came back from and played.
That's true.
I'm surprised he didn't win comeback player of the year last year.
He probably was getting votes for it. Let's be real. But yes, Protector of the Year is our final award here. This is a tough award to pick because last year we were a little bit concerned about this, and it did kind of happen where it just it becomes a sort of a legacy award, as opposed
especially early on with guys who haven't had a chance to win it throughout their career. I think my heavy favorite is Lane Johnson, especially since he said this might be it for me.
Yeah.
So if this is like the last call for Lane Johnson, who's a truly legendary player at his position, and also is like probably the best protector in the NFL, it's hard to have a much better case than that. If his pressure allowed numbers are strong, I really, really think he should win this thing. He's just got to stay healthy. Wirfs, I also really like as a pick. I think he's one of the best. I think Sewell's one of the best, tackles in the NFL. I do think it's biased towards guys who are great pass protectors because of the name. We'll see how that ends up playing out going forward.
I'm glad that Tooney was able to get it so that it's not exclusive to tackles, at least.
I was thinking about this.
I was surprised by that.
I think guards just end up kind of with better pressure numbers generally because they're kind of always got help to the left and right of them. So I wonder if top guard seasons just typically end up with less sacks allowed. And I mean, think about it. Edges get more sacks than defensive tackles almost every single year. So wouldn't it be true that offensive tackles give up more sacks than offensive guards? And it's definitely a award where people look at this. Every award is an award where people look at the stats. You should look at the stats. And then when you're going through and looking like, oh, what offensive lineman gave up the least amount of pressures and sacks? Like, you might find it to be a guard. And Tooney was somebody who not only was a great player for a long time and a good kind of legacy move to give it to someone who never had a chance to win one before the first year of its existence last year, but he also, blanked opposing pass rushers more than anybody else. So he was a really good pick. And I wonder if you could see the same thing next year. Like, I thought maybe guards and centers would never win, but now I'm thinking, like, is Creed Humphrey going to give up like nothing all year because
it's possible,
is the center and is kind of always working in with tandem and other people and is also like really, really good.
Yeah.
I might go with Creed Humphrey.
It's conceivable that voters adjust for that going forward, though. I don't think it's impossible that they say they can't. I think it's just going to be Lane. I think he's got the best like conceivable case if he can stay healthy. Where it's like,
and the best right tackle in the league simultaneously.
Yeah, it's like he actually, he's. I don't know if you could make a better case if he plays 17 games and plays like he's played before. Honestly, I can get down with a little bit of like salute to the old guy because we just made this award and you've been like that. If it's a tiebreaker, I can live with it.
I could also give it to
that's wrong.
Trent off the same criteria. Trent Williams.
Great point. Yeah, true.
So that would be tough there. Theo, off of your interior, Creed, obviously. Quinn Miners is your guy. That's kind of where I thought you were leaning there, is you were going to pick Quinn. Quentin Nelson would be the other.
Nelson's a good pick.
The other guy that comes to mind there.
Yeah, definitely kind of hits both of like kind of a legacy play and also a guard who might not give up as much as an elite tackle does.
And if the Colts offense is good and you're looking to reward somebody and trying to find the driving force of that offense, Nelson would not be a bad pick. He plays a really big part in that. So
he does.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'll go with Trent Williams, honestly.
Sweet.
Sewell's kind of like Trent Williams. He's just 25. You know what I mean? Like they kind of stylistically are similar players.
It's crazy how young Penei Sewell still is. I feel like he's been in the league forever.
He's such a dominant run blocker. That it can move the needle. And he's probably a better bet to stay healthy than probably either Trent or Lane. So I get him being the favorite because he's just a highlight machine. Like these Gibbs runs are so often to the right side with Sewell out in front. And he does such a good job paving the way for an elite offense generally. Like as long as he's been there, the Lions have been an elite offense. And I feel like he's probably the biggest driver to it. So maybe I'll go with Sewell, actually.
He does have a lot of highlights, and getting on the radar is kind of the big thing that you need to do.
He's already on everybody's radar, that's for sure.
Right.
He's about as household of a name as you could conceivably be at tackle. He's pretty high up there, and rightfully so. He's a great player.
Here's a question.
I'll go with him, actually.
Who is the Theo's changed his pick 3 times?
I had Sewell written down, and then you talked about Trent. I was like, oh yeah, Trent. But Sewell's just a bit more durable, I feel like, so I'll go with him.
Who is the most household name offensive lineman of all time that you can think of?
Joe Thomas is up there.
Joe Thomas is up there.
Jonathan Ogden.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Thomas.
It's tough. I'm trying to
Forrest Gregg. People be knowing Forrest Gregg. Did they know about Forrest Gregg?
I don't think I've ever heard anyone mention Forrest Gregg off the top.
Jeff Saturday.
Jeff Saturday's a good pull.
Ooh.
That's a great pull.
You know who it is. It's not even close. It's Jason Kelce.
Oh yeah.
It's Jason Kelce by kind of maybe a mile at the moment.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. But that's kind of.
Is there somebody in media that we're not thinking of? I mean, Kelsey's as big. Like, it's Kelce.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is in media. He's in every media. I think it's.
I'm trying to think about like all-time great offense. Larry Allen, Anthony Munoz, but I feel like those guys aren't quite.
They don't got it.
I don't know.
It's at this moment tough. In 2026.
No.
Like
in 2026, it's pretty tough to beat.
I mean,
but
Taylor Swift married his brother, so I think literally probably everybody on the planet knows who Jason.
Low-key cheat code for this one for sure. If Taylor Swift is
that's what it's like. It's a
who's
little
also a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No,
It's
he's
a
like an
little
A-list celebrity at this point. So yeah, it's definitely him.
Yeah, no, it is. But Joe Thomas, Jeff Saturday is a good shout.
Thank you.
But yeah, yeah, you guys are right. It's Jason Kelsey. But
It's Elton Jenkins.
It's dude.
It's Taylor Moton after what he's about to do this year. Let me tell you, man.
Take his
all
beds
the
and get
Browns.
better.
All the Browns household offensive linemen are gone. So yeah, but I think that'll do it for another episode of Stay Hot. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We've got a lot of stuff lined up for you. We're excited to talk football all season long. But until then and until next time, we'll catch you on the flippity flop.